One of the most useful and important tools you can have, in my estimation, is a water level. You can buy them commercially. You can buy them with stands that slide up and down. You can even build one of your own. The major difference between these things is how convenient they are for you to use, not how well they work, because they all work the same. The manual shows a typical water level. The main thing to remember with a water level is that it works on atmospheric pressure, not gravity. Atmospheric pressure exerts an equal force on the water in the container as well as in the end of the hose, but only if both are open to the air. If you close the valve on the end of the hose, the water level will not function, but as long as both ends are open, it will perform flawlessly. I made this water level out of a 1-gallon bottle of windshield washer fluid. If you work where there's no chance of the liquid freezing, replace the fluid with colored water, but in northern climates, use the washer fluid in the bottle. I got an extra cap for the bottle and drilled a 1/2-inch hole in the top of it. I then got 100 feet of 1/2-inch OD, 5/16 ID, clear, flexible plastic tubing. I cut the end of it off on an angle so that it won't close itself off against the bottom of the bottle and inserted it through the hole. I then drilled a 1/4-inch hole alongside it for the opening to the atmosphere. On the other end of the hose, I made a little arrangement using a bayonet fitting and an air chuck. Screw the brass restrictor out of the end of the air chuck so the air will pass through more easily, and shove the hose onto the bayonet fitting. If you can find a magnet, such as the telephone company used to hold wire to metal desk, it will fit very nicely around the plastic tubing and can be secured with a couple of nylon zip ties, and you will have completed the building of a water level. To use it, simply siphon the hose full of fluid, being extremely careful if you use windshield washer fluid not to swallow any. It is poison. In order for this water level to work, you have to squeeze the handle on the air chuck. You could also use any other type of valve you wanted to, or even no valve at all. Just hold your thumb over the hose. But the probability of spilling some of the liquid doing it this way is pretty likely. When you lose some of the fluid in the system of a water level, you actually change the level to which it all rises. So if you're halfway through the setup of a home and you spill a lot of fluid at the end of the hose, you're going to have to start over. This little air valve goes a long way toward keeping that from ever happening, so I recommend it highly. I like my system because when you're done with it, you can drain all the fluid back into the jug. Put the other cap on top of it and sit the jug in the center of a 5-gallon plastic bucket. You can coil the hose around in it and put the cap on the bucket, but before you do that, cut off every other flange on the lid so it's easy to take on and off. And what you end up with is a tidy little package that's always in one piece, easy to keep clean, and won't spill or break. Now, this is just my idea, and you can invent your own if you want. Skyline recommends you use a water level. Personally, I can't imagine doing it any other way. When you get under the home, you can set all your piers and wedges with a water level, and then lower the home down on top of those stacks, and the home will be sitting as level as it possibly can be. There won't be a 1/16 of an inch difference between the front end and the back end of an 80-foot home. While it's important to have this sort of precision in the installation of a single-wide home, it's much more important to achieve the same accuracy in the installation of a multi-section home. When you set the piers under both sides of the home using a water level without ever moving the jug, you'll find these things will go together better than they ever did before. Again, Skyline only recommends this, but I'm betting if you build one of these levels and use it on your next 3 or 4 homes, you'll never go back to a carpenter's level. There are a few cautions with this system that must be observed. Number 1, you've got to be real sure the jug is set up someplace out of the way where you're not going to knock it over working on the home. Also, it has to be set up someplace where it doesn't need to be moved. It's possible to relocate the jug to another location and maintain the same level, but it's not easy. Also, be sure the hose has no bubbles in it. One little bubble the size of a dime can mess everything up. Be sure the hose is full of fluid, and you'll never have any problems. If the fluid gets bleached out by the sun and becomes hard to see, put a little food coloring in it. Keep a towel in the bucket, clean your hose when you put it away, and then your little $25 investment should last indefinitely. As we said before, a single wide is very easily blocked using a water level, no matter whether you're using concrete blocks or metal jack stands. Simply adjust the heights on all the piers and lower the home onto it.